Hello, this is wmpyr. Just here to talk about why martial arts is so fun and exciting for me. I just finished another workout tonight. I was on the punching bag for 30 minutes because why 30 minutes? As I was training, I was watching the Conor McGregor versus Mayweather. Um, that epic fight. I was watching it again. Now, some people don't think it was that great. They were disappointed in it. For me personally, it was amazing. It was amazing. This is the third time I see it. The first time I saw it on pay-per-view, and at the time in Texas, that was a crazy time because we had hurricanes, we had tornadoes. I mean, I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it back home in one piece. That's how crazy that night was. And the other people, I was watching it at a friend's house, and then they had another guest over, and that person, I mean, they were thinking about just staying the night because they didn't think they were going to be able to make it back. So, yeah, it was a crazy wild night, just that in itself. But then the fights was very exciting. I thought I saw the event from beginning to end, the whole event, but I enjoyed the other fights as well. But of course, the fight that we were all looking forward to the most was the main event. And for me, I was not let down. I was actually amazed, and I thought Conor McGregor was awesome for making it that far. I mean, it was, to me, very, very impressive. And watching him fight, it was very interesting because definitely you can see that he is not a pure boxer. It's amazing for someone that he comes from a martial arts background. It's definitely being an MMA fighter and coming from a martial arts background. Yeah, he did some things that were uh, illegal in the world of boxing, but I'm surprised he didn't do a lot more illegal stuff. When I'm training on the punching bag, I mean, I almost have to hold back because elbows, knees, headbutts, kicks, they all want to come out, and I have to hold that back. And I imagine if the punching bag was actually punching me back, then they definitely will want to come out. I will definitely want to kick and do other stuff. So the discipline that he had to change his mindset and go, I'm coming in as a boxer and I'm only going to use boxing. That was very, very impressive to me. I mean, I thought at least he would slam Mayweather once. Maybe even once he would just the full double leg takedown. We're going to see something like that at least once. Never. He did not do that. Yes, there were some iffy things he did in the clinch. There were some back of the head shots. Yes, he almost like a half Muay Thai clinch. Yes, I know. I saw it, so I understand. But once again, compared to the amount that he's trained in and capable of, that's nothing. That is nothing. So if this was a real fight, I mean, because I don't think Mayweather is familiar with the grappling, or if he has been doing some in private, it's just not going to be at the level of McGregor. I mean, he would have been taken down the moment they clinched. They would have been on the ground. He would have been taken down, and then there were many, many times where Conor actually took his back in the standing clinch, and that maybe not so much in MMA as much. Although if you do take someone's back and you're up against the fence and you're hitting them, that could be a huge advantage, but not necessarily that alone will end the fight immediately. Not necessarily, but in a street fight, I think that could be much more effective because in a street fight you can do back of the head to the neck shots, spine shots. You could do all of that. Groin shots. So. I think that was huge because so it made me think, what if this was a street fight? So in the world of MMA, McGregor to me would have had a huge advantage based off of this fight, not on paper. I'm saying by actually watching this fight. And then also, if this was a street fight or a self-defense situation, I think McGregor would have had another huge advantage because of how many times he took the back. Now, boxing wise, I mean, Mayweather is just amazing. I mean, is there anyone better, more technical? I mean, it's incredible, right? So I misunderstood the guy. I made a video about this before. In this fight, I thought he was going to try to finish McGregor, but instead, what he meant was that he was gonna take out McGregor, not fast, but he was going to take his time, draw them all, and then finish the guy, which he didn't have to take that risk to try to finish McGregor. He could have just, because he was winning all, by, I'm sure he was going to win by points, scoring, and all that. So he could have done it like that. He didn't have to risk. And that's the thing. A lot of times maybe he doesn't, and that's why people sometimes criticize Mayweather. But in this fight, he's like, no, I'm actually going to try to finish him. He did. I just thought that meant he was going to do it like within the first 5 rounds. So I was gravely mistaken about that. Anyway, so I'm watching this, and I got this on right here, and this is once again I have to say, look, because I just saw a recent post about someone saying that the Boss Rutan O2 trainers, Boss Rutan is a fraud and all this. Dude, it has been a miracle. I've been using this one instead because my O2 trainer has gotten pretty bad shape. But since I started using the O2 trainer, no asthma, and now I'm using this thing, same thing. I've been good. It's not for altitude training because people have debunked that. This is very, very simple. It's like someone who plays music in a band. It makes your lungs stronger, because this limits the intake of how much oxygen you can have. When I exhale, I just exhale out the nose. So exhale is not affected. It's just the inhale. I have to really work my lungs to suck it in. So it makes any exercise 10 times harder. Actually, you could make it worse or less. But that right there makes it way more challenging. I went, like I said, 30 minutes. At times I was changing gloves, so I went from lighter gloves to bigger gloves and stuff. When I did that, I would just try to just kind of like jog in place and stay in motion, just keep burning the calories and keep the cardio going. So I never really took a real break, and went for the full 30 minutes. And as I'm doing that, the first thing that comes to mind is Bruce Lee, okay? Because for me, like McGregor, I view myself as a martial artist. Yes, I was training on a punching bag, training boxing, so I pretty much only used punches. I didn't kick, I didn't use elbows, knees, headbutts. I didn't do that stuff. I worked on my punches. But still, I am a martial artist first and foremost. So I'm thinking with a martial arts mind. So the first guy that came up to my mind, because, dude, it's like, okay, here's 30 minutes, go for it. I think a lot of people, if you're not experienced with this, you don't know what to do, or you're going to run out of things to do. You're going to start feeling stupid. You're going to be like, how many jabs and how many jab crosses can I do? You're going to really start to feel limited, It's kind of like you just get dropped off in the deep end. You got to be creative. You got to work a craft. You got to, that's where you got to diligently do this stuff, and then you know what to do. So with Bruce Lee, one of the things that he talked about was do not telegraph. Basically, an invisible punch. So that's what that's one of the things I worked on, is to work on a punch, a jab that they can't see. Remember, this guy fought with his strong arm to the front. And so that means his jab is invisible. Not only is it going to be super fast and near invisible, it's going to pack some power. And if in a fight, if most of your punches that's landing is a jab, why not? Even Don the Dragon Wilson, I just saw in a recent YouTube video, it wasn't a recent video, but recently I saw this video where Don the Dragon Wilson, one of North America's greatest legendary kickboxers, this guy was talking about how he, because of Bruce Lee, sometimes fought, with his strong side to the front, southpaw. And then he said he uses both stances, orthodox and southpaw, but he said there was a Bruce Lee influence there for sure. So I remember that, practicing that, and I do both stances too. you know, because not necessarily because I want to attack that way, more so because sometimes, especially from a self-defense situation, you could get caught off guard. And then when that happens, I've experienced this in grappling many times where it's like, it's the wrong side. This is not the side I'm comfortable with. Same with Street Fighter, the video game. When I'm playing, sometimes I end up on the other side, player two side, and I'm like, oh, how am I supposed to do my moves, my super moves, my fireballs and my super uppercuts? It doesn't feel as good from this side, you know. So it's things like that, you know. But yeah, work both sides so that I don't get caught off guard as much. Another thing is when I'm moving left to right, I am conscious about my junk because you know I constantly, you see it in some MMA fights where they get nailed in the junk and then they have to stop it and whatnot, or they get a finger to the eye. To me, you know, coming from martial arts, self-defense, that's all fair game. And the very limited times that I have competed in stuff, and even in sparring back in the day when I did all that stuff, I tried to visualize, imagine that they would do it to me. So if it did happen, it's all right. It's never been all right, I'm telling you that, because, you know, there's been times where I'm just grappling and the guy just bam, headbutts me right in the middle of the nose, and I'm just like, what the hell was that? You know, so yeah, of course, but I try to imagine that, visualize that as much as possible so I don't get taken off guard. I'm not saying that if I did an MMA fight that I'm going to be 100% not get hit in the junk or get poked in the eyes because I'm ready. No, but I will try to as much as I can, okay? Not saying that all the professional fighters don't. I'm just saying I don't want to be one of those fighters that completely relies on the rules and just walks in, you know, without any kind of regard for their junk or their eyes, and then they get attacked and then they act like, what the hell, you know. I don't want to be one of those fighters. That's all I'm saying. If I were to fight, which, you know, I wouldn't compete at this age, especially. And I've just never been that good enough to do that. But so just telling you guys, keeping it real. But just saying, okay, so as I'm training, because it comes from your daily practice, when I go to the left, when I go to the right, or even when I'm standing in front of the bag itself, I try to be aware of my junk and to protect it, you know, protect it. So another thing is, as I angle off to the side and stuff, I'm thinking about the knee brush technique from Tai Chi. The knee brush technique is when you move off to, you know, when you're passing your opponent and stuff, you're using your knee to hit their knee and you could get them off balance. It's kind of a sweep, but it's not as committed maybe, or think of it as a very short sweep. So it's designed to buckle and off balance your opponent. Comes originally, from my understanding, comes from Tai Chi. I'm sure there's other styles that do it, but in my case, that's where I heard about it. And there was a guy in college who was a former Army guy who, you know, went to apply for the Special Forces and stuff. This dude was a Kali Eskrima, which is the same thing, practitioner. And that was one of his favorite moves that was taught to him by his Filipino martial arts instructor, the knee brush. So he showed it to me as well. And then, of course, I saw it in Tai Chi. So, you know, it was like a double exposure for me. And it's something that I do practice is that knee brush. Not just kneeing opponents like a Thai boxer, but using the knee to off-balance people. And I've seen similar stuff in ninjutsu, okay? But in ninjutsu, they were using more so the entire leg, including your foot positioning. So it's not a sweep like in judo. It's not a ashibarai, which is a judo technique, but it's more like how you position your leg as opposed to your opponent's leg in relationship to your opponent's leg, how you position it, and you can use it to not necessarily make the opponent fall down, which is the ideal case, but to off balance them, you know. So I'm thinking about that as I'm, you know, trying to protect my junk while throwing punches and managing my cardio, because also this really forces me to do that. And then once again working on techniques like the Bruce Lee punch, where you're trying not to telegraph. And then of course the open and close that I showed you guys from Filipino martial arts. The opening and close basically are techniques like when you look at the Heaven Six. What it comes down to, even something that looks super complex like this, you break it down to its super core. It's just the hands are opening or the hands are closing. It's crossing and uncrossing. That's the weaving idea. Okay, so when I'm throwing my punches, I'm thinking, yes, like Filipino martial arts, be smooth to flow, but also at the same time, the opening and closing. And when I watched the fight, as I was working on the bag, I'm watching the McGregor versus Mayweather fight. And in my opinion, I noticed Mayweather was doing a lot of, to me, the closing moves. So like in the later rounds, when he was taking McGregor to the deep end, so to speak, and you could noticeably see McGregor slow down, right? I'm sure because he's tired and everything, but also because of his technique. When you're that tired, the technique becomes even more apparent, and you really notice how his hooks become slower and stuff, whereas the Mayweather's, to me, was still crisp. Why was it crisp? I think because yes, they're both tired, and McGregor more so, but also because I think Mayweather's, he's using more like the Filipino martial arts, the closing move. So when you're throwing your punches, like you're closing like this, it's faster. Try that, guys. Try it on your punching bag, or just even try it in shadow boxing. Let me know what you think. For me, it's been a game changer. Okay, it's something I took from the Filipino martial arts and applying it to my Western boxing to help out my empty hand skills, And I feel like McGregor was more of he likes to punch the open, so the hands opening this way versus the closing. Like I said, I think Mayweather does both very well, but what I tend to notice tonight was the closing movements. With McGregor, I felt like I didn't really see him do the closing movements, but I did see him do the open stuff very, very well. That's his thing. And even like when he was going slow like this, I saw him do this like in a pre-fight training, right, like this. And then also in the actual match, he's doing this. And this to me was a great reminder. This is exactly the idea of opening. It's like you have a big old telephone book in front of you and you're ripping it. And when you rip it, instead of just trying to rip it with one hand, rip it with both kind of thing, So it's the double. As this goes forward, this one goes back, and that gives you that power. So this double motion power in the opposite direction kind of thing. So that's what I saw Connor doing, which was excellent. Also reminded me, and I practiced that as well, even with your uppercuts and stuff. So as this goes up, this one goes down, and that difference in motion gives you that extra power. So there's a lot of things to work on, endless amount of things. And that's, to me, exactly what you want is when you are fighting and you can make it technical like that. In your brain, you're worrying more about technical stuff rather than stupid stuff, like, I don't know what to do. Man, this guy's really good. I feel stupid. People are watching this, and a lot of people are gonna say that I suck, and so all those things have nothing to do with the fight. You shouldn't be thinking those things. You need to be thinking what's going on right now. So when you're thinking in detail, it helps you get out of that mindset. Even better is if you could like look at it from a bigger picture, and then you see people like Hicks and Gracie that are looking at it from another picture. And that's where they're able to bring in the zone stuff, so crazy stuff. So he's looking at it not just from a technical point of view, but from he's like beyond technique. So he's looking at it from a completely outer perspective, going, he's panicking. I can confuse this guy. So he's looking at it from that kind of perspective, which is just amazing. But anyway. Once again, as I was training tonight, I just want to reiterate that it reminded me just how fun martial arts was. I really dig this kind of stuff, making your own craft, developing it, and I think there's no coincidence. That's kind of like what I'm doing with the toy making stuff too. Is just working on your own craft, and I guess it comes from all the Lego building that I did as a kid because I couldn't go outside and play because I had severe asthma. You know, all my life pretty much until just the last few years recently. So anyway, I'm sidetracking. This video's long enough. If you've watched it this long, thank you so much. That's it for now, and take care, folks.